Nearer, my God, to thee. Few words in the English language carry as much weight. They're not just lyrics to a hymn. They're a cry of the soul, a prayer whispered in suffering. A final song rising from the deck of a sinking ship. This is the story of the hymn that became the anthem of both tragedy and faith. April 14th, 1912. The Titanic, the world's grandest ship, sailed into the icy Atlantic, carrying over 2,000 souls, rich and poor, hopeful and weary, into the unknown. She was called unsinkable, the marvel of modern engineering, a floating palace of steel and luxury. For the wealthy, it was a playground of elegance. For immigrants, it was a vessel of hope. But for all on board, it was more than a ship. It was a dream that would never reach its shore. Among the passengers were millionaires and laborers, aristocrats and servants, children clutching dolls, mothers with prayers tucked into their hearts. The Titanic was a microcosm of the world itself, the rich and the poor, the joyful and the burdened, all bound together by fate. No one could imagine that this journey would end in tragedy, or that a hymn written decades earlier would rise above the terror to console hearts and inspire courage. At 11:40 p.m., disaster struck.
Step to the side, madam. Step to the side. Yes, sir. Yes, madam. Yes.
Panic swept through the ship. Lifeboats lowered. Some prayed. Some wept. Some sang softly, clinging to hope. In the midst of chaos, 8 men faced the freezing Atlantic night. Not ordered, not compelled, they chose courage. They carried their instruments forward, their hearts steady despite the fear. Wallace Hartley, the band leader, gave a quiet nod. Each man knew what they were about to do, and as the ship tilted into darkness, they played. Survivors later recalled, the music was not for fame. It was a lifeline, rising above screams, splashing water, and despair. The hymn? Nearer, my God, to thee. One passenger, Eva Hart, remembered, the band played, and the music they played sent courage to every heart. And though none could see it then, a hymn, written nearly 70 years earlier, was waiting to meet them on the cold waters of the Atlantic. Nearer, my God, to thee was penned in 1834 by Sarah Flower Adams, an English actress turned poet. Fragile in health, but fierce in faith, Sarah longed to express what the soul feels in its darkest hour, not despair, but surrender. Her hymn was simple, direct, a soul reaching upward, even when the world below was falling apart. It spoke not of triumph, but of trust, not of rescue, but of drawing near to God, even through pain. The hymn spread across England, then America. It was sung in village churches, whispered in hospital rooms, and echoed in funerals. For the broken, it became a lifeline. For the faithful, it was a reminder, no matter how far we fall, there is a God who draws near. It would take nearly 8 decades before the hymn would meet its moment of destiny on the decks of the Titanic. Confusion turned to chaos. There were lifeboats, but not enough. The rich clung to jewels, the poor to one another. Officers shouted orders, but fear drowned reason. And amid the cries of mothers and the roar of the Atlantic, another sound began to rise. The ship's band of 8 musicians, led by Wallace Hartley, gathered on deck. They could have fled. They could have sought lifeboats. But instead, they lifted their instruments. At first, they played waltzes and ragtime to steady the hearts of passengers. And then, as the bow dipped deeper into black water, they played the hymn, "Nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee." Those who survived never forgot it. Every melody, every chord, offered comfort to those who believed they would not survive. Their choice was simple, yet profound, to play not for themselves, but for others. To remind the living of faith and the dying that they were not alone. At 2:20 a.m., the ship disappeared beneath the waves. 8 men were lost. Their instruments were never heard again, yet their music echoed in memory, in courage, and in every soul it touched survived. Today, "Nearer, my God, to thee" carries forward its legacy. In hospitals, churches, and homes, its melody reminds us that even in the darkest hour, hope can shine. The hymn is no longer just music. It is courage, it is solace, it is faith incarnate. It is proof that beauty and bravery can persist in the face of unimaginable loss. From the icy Atlantic to the quiet corners of our lives, its notes travel across time, lifting hearts and inspiring courage, as they did on that fateful night. Every memorial, every preserved instrument is a testament that music, faith, and human courage can endure beyond death. And so we sing, we remember, we draw nearer to God, to hope, to each other. Each note carries the weight of bravery, the echo of hearts that refuse despair. Every night, in every storm, in every personal tragedy, the hymn whispers, courage is possible, hope survives, faith endures. The story of the Titanic's band is our story. Small acts of courage can ripple across generations. Every song, every prayer, every heartbeat matters. Nearer, my God, to thee is a lifeline, a thread connecting us to history, to faith, and to the enduring strength of the human spirit. When fear threatens to overwhelm, let its melody remind you, you are not alone. Courage, hope, and love can rise above even the darkest waters. Share this story. Let music guide someone else. And the songs we sing in the storm may one day become another's light. Subscribe, comment, and turn on the bell to uncover more hymns, stories, and the courage within each note.